Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/PettyRevenge. In today's episode, roommate was stealing my marked leftovers. Made a chocolate cake with habanero peppers, labeled it with my name, and wrecked his world. The customer who tipped a fake $100 bill. Bank fees me to death. So that's the game you want to play, huh? Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Roommate was stealing my marked leftovers. Made a chocolate cake with habanero peppers, labeled it with my name, and wrecked his world. Title is pretty straightforward, but I'll elaborate. My old college roommate didn't know how to cook or do dishes and didn't go food shopping much. This led to him eating my food, especially my leftovers, as those were prepared meals. I would use my leftovers to meal prep for the week, and told him to stop as it was expensive as well as inconvenient. The behavior did not stop, and he actually seemed to be eating more of my food out of spite. To punish him, I baked a chocolate cake with habanero peppers and mixed the frosting with wasabi. I labeled it with my name and a bold "do not eat" and waited. This guy has a very low tolerance for spicy foods, so I thought he would take one bite, quickly realize the error of his ways. About 2 days later, him and a couple of his friends got really drunk while I was at work and decided to dig into my food. Somehow, they ate about a third of it before realizing, and when they inevitable went to throw up from over drinking and eating spicy foods, got hit by the cake a second time. Don't know for sure, but it couldn't have felt good coming out the back end. When he asked me why I made this monstrosity, I told him I found a chocolate habanero recipe online that I wanted to try. He stopped eating my cooking after that. You told him to stop and explained why, and he didn't. This is absolutely justified. Well done. This would be justified even if he didn't tell him to stop. Don't eat other people's shit without asking, that's rude. A chocolate habanero recipe online that I wanted to try. You are technically correct. The best kind of correct. I've had chili chocolate bars and it's a neat mix. No sympathy for the guy. I hate thieves. I pulled the cheese off the leftover pizza, put down ghost pepper sauce, then put the cheese back on. Desired effect was had. My brother was being a dick to his ex-wife one day while I was cutting up habaneros for chili. I told her to rub them on her hands and give him a handy. A few minutes after she returned with a grin, we hear screams and cursing. She found him naked and whimpering while holding his junk on the bathroom floor. Milk stealing was a major annoyance at university. It was in halls of residence and people would constantly pilfer your milk from the shared fridge just to put in their coffee. I took to labeling my milk biology experiment, "Do not touch," and putting a drop or two of green food coloring in each newly opened carton. Not sure if anyone was really fooled, but nobody seemed to touch it anymore after I started doing that. People claiming this is illegal need to understand that taking food that doesn't belong to you is also illegal. OP specifically asked his roommate to stop. Even though the cake was made as a trap, roommate had been warned, and yet refused to stop swiping food. Good luck finding a court to take that case. The customer who tipped a fake $100 bill. This is not my story. This happened to my friend. They don't use Reddit, and when they told me this I had to share because I love it and I'd never expect it from the friend who did it. I work as a server. This one guy always comes in the restaurant I work at. He usually is pretty quiet and never tips too well. Most of the time he comes with a couple of friends or by himself and sits at the bar and watches a sports game. I've never had a problem with him until he came in one time with a date. I've never seen the woman before, so I assumed they were new to dating. Anyways, they sit at a table, this time in a more quiet part of the restaurant, and they were sat at one of my tables. I had no problem with them and everything was going fine. They asked for the check and I went right around the corner from their table. It was close by, so I was quick. As I was coming back to the table, the guy says to the woman, "Watch this," as he puts down a $100 bill on the table. He saw me see and he was joking like, "Oh, you weren't supposed to see that." I was ecstatic either way, even though it was so obvious he was trying to impress the woman. I didn't care. I waited till they left to go grab the $100 bill. Well, when I unfolded it, it was one of the fake $100 bills, I guess for pranks. That means this freaking guy planned this out to impress this woman. It was so frustrating because I needed the money, but at the same time I thought it was because I did a great job. Either the woman was in on it or he decided to be a jerk in two different ways. Told my manager and he was like, "Wow, that's ridiculous." I decided to hold on to it because I knew the day would come when I could get back at this guy. 2 weeks later. My manager recognizes the guy, and while I was working at the time, I was in a different side of the restaurant which was already full. My manager found me and asked if I wanted that customer's table as well and told me he was with the woman from last time. I often joked with my manager about throwing the fake $100 back on the table in front of that woman if he ever came back to embarrass him. I thought to myself, yeah, I may be busy already, but I also thought, sure, what's one more table? Told my manager absolutely, no problem, with a smirk on my face. Before I went over to their table, I ran out to my car to grab the fake $100 that was sitting in my cup holder for this exact moment. I get to their table and they instantly recognize me. The woman seemed normal, but the guy looked like he was nervous. I pretended nothing happened all the way until I got their check. When I brought the check back, I placed it down on the table as well as the fake 100 but left it unfolded so the fake part was showing. I looked at the guy and said, "Hey, not sure if you remember me from last time, but I believe you forgot this, just returning it because I believed it was too much." The woman looked very confused, so I instantly knew she was not a part of it, but the guy got all nervous and said, "I don't know what that is." I said, "Oh, my mistake," and laughed and said to the woman, "Have a good night," and walked away. When I came back, there was a big $0 on the signed copy and a $50 bill, real this time, where the woman was sitting after they had left. One can only assume that the guy didn't want a tip on his card, so he wrote obnoxiously big zeros on the tip, and that $50 just happened to be where the woman was sitting, so I'm hoping she had placed it there. Now I don't know what happened with the couple or if they stayed together, but I haven't seen them back since, and it's been a few weeks, and I really hope she looks for his red flags now. Did that poor woman a favor? And she acknowledged and appreciated it based on the tip left behind. Nice to see people looking out for each other like that. My dad always told me that if you want to know how someone will act in a long-term relationship, pay attention to how they treat servers in restaurants. And since I started paying attention, I am definitely noticing a pattern there. I worked as a cocktail waitress years ago where we wore our own clothes, no uniform, and had to carry our change and tips in a highball glass on our tray. Along comes quarter beer night and some jerks literally deliberately made a fist and came up under my tray hard so everything would go flying, and they had a good laugh. Not so funny when I came back with the beers and accidentally spilled them on them. Lost the job, but so worth it. As someone that has been in the industry for over 2 decades, I love this. I had a party once that tipped me and pennies spread across the table when they left. I scooped that shit up so fast and chased them out and just dumped it at their feet with a, "I think you forgot something." Yes, I got in trouble. Yes, it was worth it. I got tipped once at a store I worked at. Not a common occurrence, but it happened once in a while to some of the other clerks. It was Christmas time and I had been helping this older woman find all kinds of shit around the store. Another, newer kid was helping as well. After her cart was full, she handed us both these folded up $10 bills. I knew right away they were phony. I had seen these before. The kid was excited and I said, "Look at it closely." It was one of those Bible verse fake bills Christians hand out as tips and feel like they did you a favor. Bank fees me to death. So that's the game you want to play, huh? Short, long, and sweet petty revenge. This happened around 25 years ago and is still being played out to this very day. The Canadian bank, not sure if I can say what bank I was dealing with at the time, was a good bank to begin with, but after me being there for about 5 years, had started to turn into a bank that raised fees and started to add different fees for stuff that used to be free. I had substantial investments in one of their RRSP plans, and those fees also were raised and more fees added. Basically, it was fee shit show. I finally had enough of the fees and moved all my investments and banking to a different Canadian bank and closed everything down. Except for $0.26 in one RRSP I had there. This means once a month they have to mail me a statement from that account that has $0.26 in it. They sent me a letter about 15 years ago asking if they should send me a check for the remaining balance so they could close the account. I said no, I might want to add to it someday. By now the costs to just maintain that account and have the statement mailed out once a month is pure satisfaction. FYI, an account with 26 cents in it incurs no fees. At least not to me. I feel good about it. Edit, this got way more traction than I thought it would. Some good pettiness going on in here from all sides. Here is some more. People are complaining that the paper use is wasting trees. At some point it did waste trees, but not with these, and it wasn't me that caused it. Scotiabank uses 100% recycled paper and I recycle it again with my city. It's not huge amount, but it does add up after 25 years of this. Around 300 envelopes worth. All at least double recycled. People say it causes bank fees to increase. Oh please. /S, you really think it was me and others like me that causes increased bank fees? Banks and bankers are crooks. End of discussion. People seem to think that it doesn't mean anything to the bank and I am wasting my time. Of course it doesn't mean a shitball to the bank, but it means something to me, and that is all that matters. I can guarantee I smile and have a good genuine chuckle at least once a month in this crap shot of a world. That's more than a lot can say. People calling me a liar and some kid from the boondocks, boys and girls, I am retired. Relaxing with a beer in my early 60s. I don't care about people like this, and they make me smile with how petty they can be. Well done. Ha ha. Finally, the people that shared their stories and experiences with banks and how they fought back. Ha ha ha, some great wins there. Thanks for those. Peace. It's only been a couple of years, but my longtime bank had been bought out by large one. They refused reversing a small charge, only $500 that was obviously fraudulent, but they disagreed. So I changed banks. Left $19.99 in the account, the minimum required for a free account is $5. Then I changed from paperless to snail mail for monthly statements. Soon it should be costing the bank more than I have in there. I'm going to add a grandson to the account. One of them is as vindictive as me. He'll keep the account open and hopefully pass it down. Intergenerational pettiness. Nice. I've done similar with one credit card company. The card literally sits in my safe. I get a paper bill monthly, and every 6 months they send me a nasty letter saying they will close the account for not being used. Amazon equals add gift card balance equals $1 please. Oh, and I did have to look up. RRSP equals Registered Retirement Savings Plan. Not a revenge story, but kind of related. When I owned my business, I had one customer who paid using Amex. The charges were about 12p from that one customer's transaction. Amex used to send me 2 statements a month, airmail from the US. Surely it cost them more than I was paying them to send those letters. I did the same with a Visa provider that pissed me off. On my last bill, I overpaid by 1 cent and never used the card again. I got bills for minus 0.01 for a year before they sent me a threatening letter stating they were going to send my debt to a collection agency. They must have had a revelation. That was the last I heard from them. I posted this in another forum a while back, but some readers here might get a chuckle. I received a phone call one evening from a company doing a survey on behalf of my bank. I told them if they wanted my opinion, there would be a $50 service charge. The guy told me the bank would never agree to that. So, as I was saying bye, I could hear him laughing. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.